God does not break every man. He only breaks the man He wants to use. If your life feels quieter than before, heavier than before, more confusing than before, this message is not an accident. There is a kind of pain that doesn't come from the enemy. It comes from God's hand. When God wants to trust a man with purpose, He first removes everything the man was trusting instead. Your strength, your plans, your confidence, the version of you that thought you were ready. This breaking is not loud. It happens in silence, in unanswered prayers, in nights where you stare at the ceiling, asking God why. God is not pushing you away. He's pulling you deeper. Because the man God uses publicly is always broken privately first. God often begins His deepest work in a man's life by touching the one thing the man thought he needed to survive. Not his comfort, not his money, but his sense of control. When control slips away, fear shows up. When fear shows up, truth follows. Many men pray for purpose, but few are ready for the process that creates it. Because purpose is not given to the confident man. It is given to the honest one. And honesty is usually born in moments of weakness. God allows a man to feel small, so he can finally see clearly. When everything is going well, we listen to ourselves more than we listen to God. But when things fall apart, the noise fades. The heart becomes quiet. And that is where God speaks. This is why the breaking feels personal, because it is. God is not dealing with your image. He is dealing with your identity. He is separating who you are from who you pretended to be. The man God uses cannot rely on pride. Pride collapses under pressure. God needs a man who knows how to kneel before he knows how to stand. That lesson is not learned in comfort. It is learned in loss. So God removes the things that made you feel important, the plans that made you feel secure, the people that made you feel strong. Not to harm you, but to anchor you. What you call breaking, God calls preparation. What feels like weakness is actually alignment. Because the man who knows his limits is finally ready to carry something eternal. God is not finished with you. He is focused on you. And this season is not the end of your strength. It is the beginning of the right kind. When God begins to break a man, He does not rush the process. He allows the man to sit inside the discomfort long enough to understand it. This is where most people quit. They mistake silence for abandonment. But silence is often where transformation starts. In this season, God slows everything down. Doors stop opening. Momentum disappears. Even motivation feels heavy. Not because God is distant, but because He is removing distractions. A distracted man cannot hear direction. God is teaching you how to live without applause, without reassurance, without instant results. Because the work He is preparing you for will not always come with validation. And if you depend on approval, you will abandon purpose the moment it gets lonely. This is why God allows isolation. Not to punish you, but to clarify you. When people step back, God steps closer. When voices fade, His voice becomes clearer. In the breaking season, God exposes what you truly trust. If peace disappears when people leave, then people were your foundation. If hope disappears when plans fail, then plans were your God. God removes these supports not to shame you, but to save you. He is teaching you how to stand without leaning, how to believe without seeing, how to obey without understanding. This season humbles a man. It teaches him patience. It teaches him restraint. It teaches him how to wait without becoming bitter. And waiting is not weakness. Waiting is discipline. God is shaping your inner life before He touches your outer life. Because public strength without private depth always collapses. And the man who learns to trust God in silence will not panic when noise returns. As the breaking continues, something unexpected happens. The pain does not disappear, but it changes. It becomes quieter, heavier, more focused. This is the moment God begins reshaping the man from the inside out. God is not interested in fixing behavior first. He transforms desire first. Because changed actions without changed desires never last. In this season, God rewires what you want, not just what you do. You begin to notice how your old habits no longer satisfy you. Things that once distracted you now feel empty, not because they were evil, but because they were temporary. God is gently loosening your grip on what cannot last. This is where many men feel confused. They are no longer who they were, but not yet who they will become. This in-between space feels uncomfortable, but it's holy ground. It is the place where identity is rewritten. God teaches you how to sit with yourself. No masks, no noise, no escape. And in that stillness, you begin to hear your own heart clearly. This is where humility is formed. Not the kind that speaks softly, but the kind that listens deeply. Strength begins to look different now. It is no longer loud confidence. It is calm obedience. You stop forcing outcomes. You stop chasing validation. You start trusting timing. God is teaching you restraint. He is showing you that not every opportunity is an assignment. Not every open door is from Him. Discernment grows best in seasons of waiting. You begin to value faithfulness over visibility, integrity over applause, depth over speed. These lessons are quiet, but they are permanent. This is how God builds a man who will not collapse under blessing. Because unchecked blessing can be more dangerous than hardship. God slows you down now, so He does not have to break you later. By now, the man begins to realize something important. God was never trying to take his life away. He was trying to give it back in the right order. The breaking was not about loss. It was about alignment. You start to see how God protected you by slowing you down. Things you begged for did not happen. Relationships you chased walked away. Opportunities you thought you needed disappeared. At the time, it felt cruel. Now it feels careful. God was keeping you from carrying weight you were not ready to hold. He was saving you from success that would have crushed your character. Because God values who you become more than what you achieve. This season teaches you obedience without explanation. You learn to trust God's direction even when it does not make sense. And that kind of trust is not emotional. It is mature. You stop asking God to hurry. You stop demanding clarity. You begin to rest in the fact that God sees further than you do. This is where peace starts to replace anxiety. God is building consistency in you. Faith that does not depend on feelings. Commitment that does not collapse under pressure. Discipline that remains when motivation disappears. You also begin to understand why God had to separate you from certain people. Not everyone is meant to walk into the next season with you. Some people were assigned to the breaking, not the building. This realization no longer hurts the same way. It brings clarity instead of bitterness. Gratitude instead of resentment. God is preparing you to lead without control. To love without attachment. To serve without needing recognition. These qualities cannot be taught. They must be lived. Now the man begins to feel a quiet strength rising from within. It is not the strength of pride. It is not loud or demanding. It is calm, steady, unshakable. God has built it through brokenness. He understands that every tear, every disappointment, every lonely night was not wasted. Each moment was shaping him for the work only he can do. He is no longer controlled by fear. He is guided by purpose. The man who has been broken learns gratitude for what he once resisted. He thanks God for the seasons that felt cruel. He celebrates the lessons learned in silence, and he walks into life with humility and courage. God's hand is now visible in ways it never was before. Doors open that were once closed. Opportunities align that seemed impossible. But this time, the man is ready. He is steady. He will not collapse under blessing. he also begins to see how his story will impact others. The brokenness he endured will be the bridge for someone else's hope. The faith he cultivated in private will inspire courage in public. God always multiplies lessons learned in pain. This is the final gift of breaking. A man ready to lead without arrogance, to love without fear, to live without apology. The man God uses has been refined like gold, tested by fire, strengthened in silence. And now, if you're listening to this, know this truth. Your breaking is not the end. It is the beginning. The season you are in is shaping you for a purpose only you can fulfill. Trust Him. Wait. Keep faith alive. Stand firm. Step into your season of purpose. Embrace the refining. God is not finished with you. And when He is done, the man He shapes will change lives, not just survive life. If you are in a season of breaking today, do not despair. Stand firm in your faith. Trust the process. Pray for strength, patience, and clarity. God is shaping you into someone who can carry purpose, not just survive life. Share this message with someone who needs to hear that God's breaking is preparation. Your story, your patience, your faith can inspire others.